In ancient times, when God had blessed the home of Isaac and Rebekah, two sons were born into the world. One, Esau, was a hunter, strong and determined, who loved the outdoor life, filled with adventure, hunting in the forests and chasing after game. The other, Jacob, was a quiet man, more focused on reflection and spiritual endeavors, not engaged in hunting, but rather in peaceful and spiritual activities. Yet, their different paths in life would lead to a tragic decision, which would carry an eternal lesson. One day, Esau returned home exhausted and hungry from a long and strenuous hunting trip. He was worn out, not only from physical exertion, but also from the disappointment of not having caught anything. The noise of the crackling fire and the smell of burning wood offered little comfort as he felt hunger take over him like an unrelenting force. But what caught his attention was something else, the scent of the red stew that his brother Jacob was preparing in the tent. Jacob, with his spiritual calmness, was cooking a simple meal, yet even the ordinary stew had something special, something that drew Esau in like a powerful force, tempting his will. "Give me some of that red stew," Esau said, forgetting about his past life and the importance of all things his heart had once valued. He was weak and without strength, and his appetite had overtaken his reason. Jacob, on his part, saw the situation as an opportunity. He knew that Esau did not value what belonged to him, his birthright, the inheritance of his father, which was far more than mere land or possessions. Jacob saw this as his chance to secure his future and the spiritual inheritance that meant so much to him, and so he offered him something that was unimaginable to Esau. "Sell me your birthright," Jacob said, looking at his brother in an unusual way. Esau, in his frustration and hunger, didn't think long. "What does it matter to me, this birthright, if I'm about to die?" Esau said, not considering the consequences of his decision. He felt pressured by his immediate need for relief and was ready to make any sacrifice to solve his current problem. "Take it," Esau said, not fully understanding the weight of his words, nor the significance of what he was doing. This was one of the greatest spiritual mistakes a person can make, to sell one's inheritance for something as fleeting and material as a bowl of stew. Afterward, Esau was satisfied with the meal. He sat, ate, and drank, and perhaps even thanked his brother for the good meal. But there was no word of regret, no reflection on the tragic exchange he had made. Esau did not see his folly, nor did he feel the weight of his decision. After the meal, he simply rose without thinking of the future and went on with his life as before. This moment, though seemingly trivial, marked the spiritual downfall of Esau. It was the moment when he traded his spiritual potential, his connection with God, and his inheritance as the leader of his people for temporary satisfaction. Esau, who had the right to bear God's blessing, lost it, not just because he had chosen something transient, but because he did not see the value in the one who was giving it to him. Here, dear friends, we have two important lessons. First, when we allow physical hunger to overcome our spiritual hunger, we lose something far more valuable than what we gain. And second, as shown by Esau, it is not just the act of making the mistake, it is doing so without repentance, doing so and standing by it. As Jesus said, "What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world, yet loses his soul?" Matthew 16:26. The power of this message is as clear as it was for Esau. Sometimes we trade eternal values for temporary pleasure, forgetting that true happiness does not lie in what we have on earth, but in what we receive from God. Let this be an example for us not to be like Esau, not to lose our spiritual connection with God for something that in the end will have no significance. We must value our inheritance, our faith, and our connection with God, for that is what truly brings blessing to our lives and to eternity. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the captain of his army. And Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me, and have sent me away from you?" But they said, We have certainly seen that the Lord is with you, so we said, 'Let there now be an oath between us and you, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, as we have not touched you, and as we have done nothing to you but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of the Lord.' And he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. And they rose early in the morning and swore an oath to one another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace." Dear viewer, this story of Isaac and Abimelech leads us on a journey through the history of God's promises and our ability to be blessed and live in peace. It is a story of the triumph of faith over hatred, the endurance of the Spirit even in the hardest moments. But it is also a story of the gift of reconciliation, which sometimes comes in the most unexpected of times. Isaac, the son of Abraham, had a difficult task. The land entrusted to him, the land he inherited from his father, was hard, filled with challenges and unresolved conflicts. His neighbors, the Philistines, were seen as adversaries, and they sought conflict over the wells of water. But Isaac did not grow bitter. He relied on God's will and continued to dig new wells, seeking new sources of life. Every well he dug became a place of blessing, not just for him, but for those around him. But even when his adversaries drove him away, he did not lose his peace. He was willing to leave all the old conflicts behind, to let go of everything that hindered him, simply to follow God's will. He was an example of how we should not be persistent in conflict, but in faith. And then, as God's plan often shows, at the right moment, Isaac was blessed. After a long path of trials and challenges, and after digging his wells, the Lord sent him a gift. When his servants brought him the news of a newly discovered spring, Isaac called it Beersheba, which means the well of the oath. It was a sign to him that God had never abandoned him, that the faith he had in God was not in vain, and that blessings are born even in the most difficult times. But if we look deeper into this story, we will see another important moment. Not only was Isaac blessed, but his adversaries, who had mocked and driven him away, now came to him. Abimelech and his men, although they had previously persecuted him, now came to him, acknowledging the Lord's mercy in his life. It was a time of peace, a time for a new beginning. And despite all the challenges, Isaac did not seek revenge. Instead, he welcomed them with open arms and made a covenant of peace with them. This is an important lesson for us today. In the world around us, we often face difficult moments with people who do not understand our path, with conflicts and disputes. But as the example of Isaac shows us, true strength does not lie in fighting, but in the peace we build. True strength lies in the ability to forgive, to let go of conflicts, and to accept those who do not understand us. For it is only then, when we choose peace, that we can be truly blessed. Although Isaac was surrounded by conflicts and trials, God led him through them with strength and wisdom. His perseverance and faithfulness to God were rewarded with peace and blessing. God's plan for Isaac, as well as for us, is to be a light in this world, to be bearers of God's presence and blessing, which do not depend on external circumstances, but on our faith and devotion to Him. So, dear viewer, remember, just as Isaac chose the path of peace, so too can you in your own life. The faith that will guide you can take you through the darkest valleys and lead you into the light, a light filled with God's blessings. And every step you take in peace will be like a well of blessing, bringing life to your heart and the hearts of those around you. Do not let hatred and conflicts overwhelm you. Follow the example of Isaac, the man who chose God's peace. This is the true path to blessing. And when you are blessed, share the blessing with those around you. And just as Isaac made his covenant with Abimelech, so we too today can choose the same path, the path of reconciliation, peace, and God's blessings. When we live by this principle, we will experience God's peace that surpasses all understanding, and it will become our inheritance as well as the inheritance of all who believe.